Greetings, radiant seekers of stardust and truth, and welcome back to Secrets Behind the Stars, where the glimmer of the spotlight is never enough and we always look beyond the glitter. If you haven't subscribed to Secrets Behind the Stars, this is your gentle nudge to do it now. Tap that button, become part of the story, and if your heart beats for independent storytelling, the join option is waiting with open arms. Your support keeps the lens sharp and the voice fearless. Like this video to help the algorithms see what you see, and share your take in the comments, because your voice is the pulse that keeps this channel alive. Now, let us slip into the silken smoke of a New Year's Eve that refuses to fade, a night that began with laughter and ended with a rumor that won't stop echoing. New Year's Eve among the glitterati is a kind of ritual, a theater of velvet vows and flirtations with fate. On this particular night, the fireworks painted the sky with diamonds, but the most electric spark did not happen outside. It unfurled in a hush, somewhere behind heavy curtains and vinyl shadows, at a secluded, invitation-only celebration said to be tucked away from every photographer's long lens. At first, it was a party like so many before, music turned up to drown out questions, conversation thick with the perfume of promise. But as the hour crept toward midnight and the volume slid from jubilant to intimate, the atmosphere shifted. The energy slowed, the noise thinned, and a whisper took center stage. What happened next is already blooming into legend. Witnesses close enough to feel the edges of the moment say it was Elçin Sangu who leaned in first. She didn't make a speech. She didn't raise a glass. Those who saw it swear she spoke in the smallest of tones, a private confession wrapped in a breath and offered solely to the man at her side, Barış Arduç. No one can agree on the exact words. No one claims to know. But the reaction is what sent ripples through the room. Barış, ever the composed star, reportedly shifted from surprise to something far softer in a heartbeat. A flicker in his eyes, a visceral hit of emotion, and then a tender, instinctive embrace that seemed to pull the world into a pause. There, in the hush of a party built to be loud, the pair created a small, protected harbor of their own. It didn't stop with the embrace. Those close enough to notice say that after that exchange, the two seemed to exist inside a fragile bubble, a quiet orbit into which no one dared intrude. Guests, sensitive to atmosphere and careful with curiosity, drifted around them rather than toward them. It was Elçin's glow that stood out, something nervous yet luminous, a joy that felt restrained only by etiquette, humming just beneath her composure. People whispered without knowing why they were whispering. A story had begun, even before words were collected. And then, as it often does, the internet made its entrance. A few hazy images slipped from that private room into a very public world. In them, Elçin appeared in a flowing, artfully loose dress, elegant, yes, but different from the sculpted silhouettes she so often commands. To fans and amateur detectives alike, fabric can carry meaning, and this one became a canvas of speculation. In the scroll and spin of social feeds, that dress transformed from an aesthetic choice into Exhibit A. Was it simply a look chosen for comfort and grace in a long night? Or was it a soft intention to conceal? The rumor that took hold, swift and stubborn, was that the hushed New Year's exchange had been a revelation, perhaps the most private of revelations, shared by Elçin with Barış in a moment carved out of time. Silence, of course, is gasoline in the engine of speculation. Neither Barış nor Elçin offered a confirmation or a denial. The absence of clarity became its own language, and the conversation mutated into a chorus. Some voices claimed insider knowledge, insisting the rumor was a spectacular misunderstanding narrowly built on a few heavily interpreted seconds. They suggested it could have been a personal vow for the year, a career milestone whispered like a secret, or even a deeply personal matter unrelated to anything the public should assume. But ambiguity has a way of encouraging imagination, and the storm only grew. Now, this is where I turn to you, our tuned-in audience at Secrets Behind the Stars. Is a dress ever evidence? Are stylistic choices fair game for interpretation, or are we placing a weight on women in the spotlight that no one should be asked to carry? Tell us what you think below. And if you cherish thoughtful storytelling that refuses to flatten complexity, consider tapping super thanks or joining our membership. It matters more than you know. As the speculation spread like ink in water, the fanbase split, clean and passionate. One side shut the door firmly with a sigh, calling the whispers a familiar and tiresome invasion of privacy. Respect the people you admire, they wrote. Let them be. The other side, those with encyclopedic memories of the pair's synergy and years of shared public moments, pointed out that the unexpected has always seemed to shadow them. Their aura on and off camera crackles with the kind of unpredictability that draws fiction and reality dangerously close. To that group, a surprise felt less like a shock and more like a possibility unfolding in plain sight. Then came the hints that the internet feasts upon. In a recent interview, prior to the New Year's festivities, Elçin had stated in clear, no-nonsense terms that her personal life was her boundary. She marked the line with quiet certainty. In isolation, it was simple, even admirable. After the party, that statement felt different, like a door respectfully closed for a reason. Meanwhile, those who chart Barry's social patterns noticed something impossible to miss: his retreat from social media, a retreat that sounded louder than any post could. Silence can be a message. Whether it was a thoughtful refusal to be baited, or something far more protective, became the question breathing under every thread. Days passed, and people waited for the kind of statement that ends noise, or feeds it for good. But instead of words, there were choices. Reports from the couple's circle suggested that in the first days of the new year, Elçin stepped back. Invitations were turned down. Appearances were trimmed with surgical precision. The only place she reportedly showed up with her familiar intensity was the set of Kuma, where duty is performed under lights that cannot blink. This deliberate contraction of public life was instantly read as either a shield or a signal. Was she creating a cocoon around something newly tender? Or was she simply reclaiming peace in the wake of an invasive rumor? As for Barış, the whispers say he leaned into quiet company, keeping close only those who know how to listen. No statements. No clarifications. Just the kind of steady presence that can look like strategy, or like uncertainty wearing dignity. Commentators argued in circles. Had their team decided to wait out the frenzy, letting the rumor burn itself into ash? Or was the situation too delicate to speak about cleanly, especially at a moment when Elçin's professional calendar was stamped and stacked? Timing, as always, is part of the drama. When a personal storm arrives in the high tide of a career, every wave hits harder. Work, though, tells its own story. On the set of Kuma, the whispers claimed, producers and co-stars could feel the static in the air. The association of their leading actress with a rumor spreading at speed cast a shimmer of distraction across the corridors. But the professionalism at the center of it, if the reports are to be believed, never faltered. Hits were delivered. Marks were met. The discipline was intact. If anything, the quiet on set suggested an artist who knows how to keep her craft unsmudged by noise. Fans noticed. They applauded the focus, even as they argued about what that focus meant. Was it control? Was it avoidance? Or was it the most powerful statement of all: do the work, let the work speak, and leave the rest alone? Then another layer slid into view: the murmured fact that families were suddenly more present in the daily rhythm after New Year's. Calls became more frequent. Visits cropped up in weekends that used to belong to rest. It all depends on the story you want to tell yourself. To optimists, it felt like choreography for joy, like the soft, necessary work of preparing loved ones for a new chapter. To skeptics, it read like routine care, or a measured gathering of counsel on how to weather a storm without adding thunder to it. The same facts, a dozen meanings. That is the nature of celebrity narratives. The truth often exists in the spaces between what is said and what is shown. So what do we have? A midnight whisper that turned a party inside out. A dress that ignited 1,000 threads. A pair of stars whose silence is as loud as any reveal could be. Work done impeccably under pressure. Families folding closer. And a fanbase torn between fierce respect and incandescent curiosity. Perhaps the only certainty here is the oldest one: the more we want the truth, the more it insists on arriving in its own time. This story will hold the light until either Barış or Elçin decides to step forward, to claim or to close the rumor with a single sentence. Until then, we are left with careful observations, compassionate guesses, and an awareness that privacy, too, is a choice worthy of applause. We've watched them navigate storms before, haven't we? The misread glances, the headlines that throb for a week and disappear, the way their names find each other in conversations that neither of them started. Maybe that history is what makes this moment feel heavier. Maybe it's the way their chemistry bends the room. Or maybe it's that we all secretly crave a story that ends with a delicate kind of joy, the kind that belongs to them first, and to us only if they decide to share it. Whatever the truth turns out to be, remember this: the pressure placed on two human beings because we love the way they light up a screen is immense. The cost of wonder is too often paid in intrusion. If there is something tender blooming behind that quiet, may it be allowed to grow in peace. And if this is nothing more than an exquisite misunderstanding, may the lesson land gently, that sometimes a dress is just a dress, a whisper is just a whisper, and an embrace is simply a human response to a moment only two people understand. Thank you for walking this line with us, for choosing nuance over noise, and for lending your heart to a conversation that resists easy answers. You've been watching Secrets Behind the Stars. If this journey sparked your curiosity, please subscribe, like, and share so the story finds those who will treat it with care. If you want to stand in the front row of everything we do, the join button is ready for you. Until the truth steps into the light, keep your eyes open, keep your kindness sharper than your theories, and leave your thoughts below. We're reading, we're listening, and we'll be here when the next chapter begins.